Wentworth is a world of women in pain.
The good and the bad under one roof.
This is for Danny.
Humans backed into a corner, trying furiously to get their way out.
I think Wentworth is about our fight for survival and what human beings will do to survive when faced with ultimate adversity.
Apologise to Boomer.
No, let her go too!
With a finger.
Get off her!
But I also think it's about the human connections that people have to make in order to survive that environment.
I want you to give her a chance, like we give everyone. You never know. She might surprise you.
The thing Wentworth does better than anything else, in my opinion, which is like raw, ugly, high-stakes drama mixed with kind of this gentle softness and love story.
Oh my God, I missed you.
On the surface, it's about women in prison, but deeper down, it's about family.
I think it's a perfect storm of so many different elements. The fact that it's largely women, so you've got all of that female energy. The fact that we are human beings trapped inside this very small space. Our freedom has been taken away, everything that makes us feel like we're human. I think that that's the perfect breeding ground for drama and for high stakes.
It's intoxicating, and the dynamics are different dynamic characters. You know, the freak, and you had Bea, and then you had Frankie, and then you had Lizzie, and then you had Doreen, and then now, you know, all the particularly women, and everything that they've brought from the guest cast to everyone's lifted.
I think Wentworth has proven again and again that it is the premier drama on Australian television.
The excitement continually seems to surpass itself from season to season, and that is pretty rare, I think. Welcome to Wentworth Unlocked. I'm Pamelarabe, and I played the governor, then prisoner, Joan the Freak Ferguson. As we approach the final episodes of this remarkable Australian television drama, we're celebrating all that made Wentworth such a phenomenon. In addition to a taste of what to expect in the final season, we'll peer behind the bars to see how Wentworth is made and look back at some of the most iconic moments in the show's history. We'll also witness the emotionally fueled final days on set. But before we do that, let's back up a bit, because quite a lot has occurred in the lead up to Wentworth's grand finale. Season 8 indeed confirmed that Joan Ferguson was very much alive, but she would spend most of the season as Kath Maxwell, a personality she assumed following an attack and a head injury. It was yet another nail-biting season that saw the inmates and staff of Wentworth confronted with ever-escalating challenges, not least of which were a slew of new characters. The prison got a new general manager in the form of Anne Reynolds, determined to restore the reputation of Wentworth and turn a profit. And then there were inmates Lou Kelly, a former top dog, and Reb, her partner in love and crime, who was desperate to continue their gender transition. There was also Judy Bryant, a young English woman accused of terrorism. And finally, Sheila Bausch, a duplicitous figure connected to both Lou and Reb with secrets that could tear them apart.
So she comes into the prison. She's not expecting, obviously, to meet anyone she knows, but there are Lou and Reb. With them comes her alibi, because she knows that they'll be able to say that she didn't poison everyone. So, yeah, it's a really good reunion for her until it all goes terribly wrong.
Oh, it's so good to see you. Oh, cut the crap, Sheila. I am the last fucking face you want to see. If you think that Reb is going to bail you out, you're even fucking crazier than I remember.
And what about you, Lou?
Have you told Reb the truth about you?
End of season 8, Sheila is the massive obstacle for me. Lou Kelly is shocked that she's there, is quite distraught that she's there. Sheila has the capacity to undo a lot in Lou's world. So that's kind of where we leave Lou.
We left Marie, well, with a little bit of hope. I think when we were first introduced to her at the beginning of season 8, the characters completely lost everything. Not only, you know, things in her life, but emotionally and spiritually. And but by the end, with the character of Reb, I've found a reason to live.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
At the end of season 8, we see Allie lying in a pool of her own blood, and who knows if she will make it.
We left Judy in a really chaotic moment. I think she is really unveiling her evil side. The mask is coming off, and she's losing it. We left Ruby. She was on day release and kidnapped by undercover cops and rescued by her older sister, Rita Connors. Ruby is so lucky to have a big sister like Rita. Rita!
End of season 8 sees Boomer on a bit of a mission. And feeling, a bit energised about something that has meant a lot to her for a long time. And she's on a mission.
Her what?
My spoof donor.
You don't even want to know.
Where we've left Vera is still in her combat with Ferguson and with Dr. Miller about the status of Ferguson's amnesia. And Vera, I think, is feeling kind of almost alone at this point. She is the one who is kind of steadfastly, holding on to her contention that Ferguson is without question faking this amnesia. So that proves she's been faking?
Not necessarily, no.
So you've made up your mind about your testimony then?
Well, the end of season 8, Kath Maxwell met Joan Ferguson, and they both were united in the same body. I am Joan Ferguson. I am the freak. So here we are. We're coming in for the kill. Final season.
Each season we've stepped it up in terms of the drama, and we've raised the bar, and we're doing it again this season.
I mean, if I said season 8 was next level, now I'm going to have to say, well, it's the level above next level.
It just continues to impress and shock and entertain. It's such an amazing show.
If I've learned anything from my time on this show is that they like to end things with a bang, and I'm sure there will be a big bang at the end of this show. And you always wonder as an actor, is your character going to survive?
Expect the unexpected is what I would say.
You fucking bitch! You don't pay for what you did! Get back! You fucking dead, Kelly! It wasn't me!
The freak is truly back. I mean, she was kind of back, and then she wasn't, and then she forgot she was back. Now she's back.
The whole Ferguson thing is she is such an incredible presence within the prison and affects so many people in their relationship with each other. We just need to see where this...
Oh, it's so good to see you. Let me look at you.
Back in prison, Rita Connor's trying to clear her name, but does she end up in the teals?
Boomer, and I can really see it. I'll be interested to know if the audience see it, but I can see how she's changed since the end of Series 7. She's more in control.
No, I'm never gonna forgive you.
Than she's ever been.
Jenkins, that's enough!
But I always feel like that could go at any moment. And there are certainly some forces at play within the prison that she has to negotiate.
Look, I think the next season is going to be even more exciting because of the new characters.
So Tina Bursell has come onto the Wentworth set playing this beautiful character, Eve Wilder, or Nanny Wilder.
Historically, you know, I was in the original series called Prisoner, so I knew I was coming into the show. I was thrilled. I was so excited to come into the show.
And Jake and Eve form a great kind of friendship. He's basically quite enamoured with her because he's seen all of her her website, which has all of the parenting tips for raising a baby.
Oh, I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Well, you could try.
You are as fabulous as they say.
Ah, come on. So there's a litany of deaths behind this woman, and we hear about them when Eve starts to communicate with Joan. He made me feel special just so he could fuck me, and then he rejected me.
So you punished him?
I stabbed him in the heart.
They do have a shared past, and a few things need to be put to rest. But certainly when they join forces, if they join forces, they're a pretty formidable, interesting duo with a very twisted relationship.
I think this is just going to be a big finish, a big bang lose. I think everybody's just putting everything into it. All sorts of, every bit of energy, everything's going in. It's wonderful.
It's the grand finale.
Chaotic and devastating.
I bet you're so disappointed.
Very fast-paced, very violent, and very moving.
Explosive. Intense.
Unflinching.
Pick. Honest. Terrifying.
It's the beginning of the end. And at times really fucking funny.
With the final sentence runs the gamut of emotions. I was so thrilled to be among the cast to bring this groundbreaking series to a close. But as is often the case, endings remind us of beginnings. And for cast members, both new and original, their audition for a sought-after role in Wentworth is a memory not soon forgotten.
My audition process?
Oh, God. The audition process.
My audition process was arduous, actually.
In my case, I knew the director in the room that day, Kevin Carlin, and I'm trying to think who read with me that day. But it was a good audition. I remember it being a good audition.
I was asked if I was interested in auditioning while I was directing a play for the Melbourne Theatre Company. I remembered being excited at the prospect of being able to do it, and then I got the phone call telling me I had the part, and that was the day that Julia Gillard was knocked off her pedestal as Prime Minister of the country.
I was in England, and as you know, time is topsy-turvy, and I was doing a show over there, so luckily by the time I've sort of finished the show, it was kind of normal hours here in Australia, and I just kept ringing my agent back in Australia going, what's happening with this Wentworth show? What's happening with this Wentworth show? Blah, 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 blah.
They threw us the script. I looked at it and I thought, this guy is not a Kiwi. It's got Australian written all over it, so why have they chucked it my way?
I was living in LA with my wife and 2 kids. A friend of mine, Jacinta Stapleton, was also living in LA at the time. She called me up and she said, I need you to help me with a self-tape that I've got for this thing in Australia, this thing called Wentworth. She said, you know, you should put down an audition for this other role in Wentworth. And I said, what other role? And she said, well, there's this other role. And I said, let me have a look at the material. So she showed me this thing and I'm like, that just seems like my wheelhouse, you know? That seems like a right kind of character for me.
Well, I remember the lead up to the audition. I was having breakfast with my agent in Sydney. I was in Australia filming a different show, and I'd been living in LA, and I remember my agent over pancakes said, so there's a role on Wentworth, and I, like, fork in my mouth was just like, yeah, I'm going to get that job.
And then finally, I got an audition, and I met with Kevin beforehand, and he goes, there's a problem. And I said, what? He said, there's a role, which I know you'd be right for, but Amanda, the producer at the time, thinks that you're too girly.
In my mind, I thought, I'm never going to get this. So when I did do the audition, I was quite relaxed about it, thinking, I'm never going to get this. Why are they putting me on tape? So when I put that down, they sent it. A week later, they said, hey, they would like to see you again. I went, what? Oh, okay.
The audition involved me kissing B, but it wasn't Danielle in the first audition. It was another really wonderful actress, Cassandra. But I was really sick on the day of the audition, and so I didn't want to kiss her. And so I kind of did this really awkward kiss on the side of her face, but avoiding her lips, and I'm sure it looked absolutely ridiculous. I got a call back, miraculously, and then I did the call back with Danielle, and I'd made a miraculous recovery by the callback, and yeah, later, a big old pash on her lips, and that's probably what got me the job.
But basically, I based Boomer a little bit on my boyfriend, who was watching telly at the time, going, hey. And then I got the role, and that was like, wow, that's so cool. And thus began the next almost decade of my life.
I had to audition with Robbie and Akko and Jenko. So they were obviously the 3 people that more like a chemistry test, and yeah, that was it.
I got brought over from Sydney. I sat down in the writer's room with Mars and Pino and a couple of the writing team and got told about Lou Kelly and got excited about Lou Kelly and went, okay. It was one of those moments in my career where I went, that's never happened before. Okay, so that's it? We're going to make it together? Okay, great, yeah. It was really empowering, actually.
I wanted this role very much, and I knew that I was probably a long shot. So I was meticulously prepared, and it certainly helped me that I was a super fan of the show anyway. you know, I hadn't missed an episode. It was just Katejenkinson and me in the same room, and we got along like a house on fire, and Anne and Vera became forged in that moment.
I was actually on the road with a play that I was doing, so I had to film myself doing the scene. I was just like, look, this is what it is. Hopefully they can see my acting with this like lamp from the hotel room. I hope they can see my face.
I have a really strong relationship, obviously, with Foxtel, having been on A Place to Call Home for many seasons. So we were looking for something else to do together, and they said, oh, there's this great character that comes in and sort of blows everything up. Would you like to be a part of that? And I said, yes, please.
To be honest, I reckon most Aussie actresses would give their right arm to be on this show.
I didn't have to audition. It's so naughty. No, I didn't audition for Wentworth. Actually, Fremantle Media called me up, and I was a huge fan of the show. And they said, oh, we've written a role for you. She's a boxer, and she's got an older sister, and that's gonna be played by Leah Purcell. Are you interested? And like, I had to play it cool. Like, oh, yeah, I have to check my schedule. But really, I was,
Making any drama series is hard work, but for a show like Wentworth, with a large cast, intricate sets and elaborate stunts, the challenges increase considerably. Luckily, the dedicated cast and crew of Wentworth more than overcame those challenges, even when faced with a global pandemic.
When the cameras are rolling and everyone's got their A game on, it's a bloody impressive place to work.
It's so much fun just going to work and working with such a fabulous crew. I know everyone says they're fabulous crews, but they really are. And working with, you know, the most gifted actors in Australia, and you get to go to work and play with them on a daily basis. It's sort of like you have to pinch yourself.
Kevin set up this show. It's his baby in a lot of ways. And the visual style for the show came about because of the way he shot it.
I was a set-up director on Wentworth way back in 2012, and we wanted to make it different and edgy and it have a very specific Wentworth style.
He came with a vision for this show, actually a visual vision that him and our original DP, Craig Barden, came up with.
We were aware that we were going to be shooting a lot of 100 frames per second stuff, but we weren't entirely sure of how that was going to get used. It's sort of gotten bigger and bigger as we've gone on, and the amount of off-speed stuff we've been shooting, but that became sort of the calling card of the show. It was like whenever there's a big dramatic moment, whenever there's a big beat, we overemphasize it by cutting to the slow-mo and really getting into the actors' faces and in a way I'm sure they never expected.
When my character in season 7 gets to walk through the laundry and I get my first time looking around, 100 frames, doing my steam press, I think was like a career highlight.
We were encouraged to be bold with our approach and to, you know, upset all the normal Australian TV norms, and that made the show really exciting from the get-go.
Wentworth has always been a very dynamic show in terms of not only the look but the sound of it as well, and the style, and it's afforded us a lot of freedom in every department really to be as creative as we possibly can within our budgets and make what I think is one of the better dramas around on TV at the moment. And over the years it's just naturally changed with different directors coming in who have tried to maintain a house sort of look, and that's usually in the hands of the director of photography. And we've had 3 directors of photography, and they've all brought something different to it.
Very lucky on a show like Wentworth that we get to do some big like action pieces that are very cinematic, that they really raise the bar for Australian television.
I'd say my favourite scene to shoot was the brawler stuff, with the van going into the lake. They had this big van and a rotisserie, and then there was guys just pulling it because Tammy was in there doing her thing, and I went, wow!
We had cameras outside with the doors open, and then we closed all the doors and we put a camera kind of where you guys are. So that was kind of cool, and if I wasn't fearing for my life, it would have been fun.
Not only did I get to work with Tam, but I got to do some stunts, which for a bloke, I love that shit.
The most fun I've had here has been when I can do stunts. I find them exciting because they're physical. You don't have to really think about your acting. You're just in there. You're forced to be present in the moment and fully focused.
Shooting the stabbing scene was phenomenal. Like, I didn't expect to have that much fun doing it. But just the way that you get to see the behind the scenes of how that gets made, like stabbing a dummy and like using a fake blade and then a real blade, and then it was just amazing to see the magic of screen.
Being around good people, working with the people we get to work with makes it a lot easier to do the kind of subject matter that we have to deal with on this show. And you just look around and there's, you know, Susie Porter and Kate Box and all these, like, glorious humans and crew that make you feel so safe.
My favourite scene that I got to shoot would probably have to be Fight Club. You know, it was hours and hours of training and shooting that, and I loved it.
Fight! Smash me!
I loved all my fight scenes, but the one that really stood out was the scene where I fought about 4 or 5 girls in the kitchen and I ad-libbed the line, "Let me welcome you to country." For me, I'm a very physical actor. I come from a boxing family, so to be able to showcase those skills and anything physical, I'm there.
In amongst that, you know, the shivings and the darkness and the intrigue and the mystery, I think what you'll find is there's redemption and hope.
Overall, all of the H1 scenes when we're a family and we're all together, they're the scenes that I really cherish because you get to see Ruby Mitchell and the other characters, just their hearts, you know, and how their warmth, and that's when you really get to see them as a family.
It's because you're a dick.
One of the themes of Wentworth's show when we set it up, which it really interested me, was the nature of human beings needing to make family wherever they go, and that's what we wanted to do in prison with the prisoners. But in the wider thing is that's exactly what we've done here on set, and it is one big family. And because these actors, not just gifted actors, but beautiful, beautiful people, and so too is the crew. It's just you'll when you've been down on set, you will see it's just one big family. During the final season of Wentworth, it hasn't been particularly indicative of all the other seasons that we've done in terms of the practicalities because we've been faced with the COVID experience.
You know, you pretty quickly get used to the mask, you pretty quickly get used to hand sanitizing, and it's just something that we have to do to get this show done.
We don't often do meetings anymore in face-to-face. We do this like this with our writers, and any problems that develop during the shoot, any changes that we've had to make. Whereas before, it was very much we'd be in the same room and get directors in and actors in, and really it was one of the benefits of being in the one building and doing Wentworth was that everyone, but mostly the actors, had access to the script department and myself, and unfortunately, this is the only way we can do it now, and it's taken the intimacy out of it in a way, hasn't it, Marcia?
Yeah, I think so.
My nasal cavities will never forgive me for the amount of testing that's happened up them.
Yes, we have to get our schnozzers and our throats tested all the time, it seems.
There's more often a stick up there than there isn't.
It's been pretty amazing that we've been able to do what we've been able to do. It's kind of quite an achievement on everybody's part.
Credit to Sue Edwards, our line producer. Sue managed to develop a fabulous COVID-safe plan for us that allowed us to keep shooting through this entire time of stage 4 lockdown. Is absolutely incredible. And I think everybody is so immensely grateful that we were able to do that. And I think the audience will absolutely love and embrace these episodes. And you'd never know we were shooting it, in the middle of a lockdown, in the middle of a pandemic, when you look at these episodes.
No.
But it has been, in some ways, upsetting because we used to be so cohesive and all the teams would work together and flow in and out of each other's spaces, and, you'd pop into the office and have a chat, or, go outside and play hacky sack with everyone. But now it has to be a bit more regimented and separate.
But everyone's entered into the spirit of it and knows, yes, we've got a mountain to climb here, we've got something to get over, but everyone's joined in the spirit of it, attacked it, and what has been, or could have potentially been, a disaster area, they've made it work.
Our crew on Wentworth were just incredible. I can't wait for audiences to see what all that hard work has produced for the final season. It's sure to rank among Wentworth's most memorable and shocking seasons, which is, as fans know, a pretty tall order when it comes to a show like this.
Wentworth's known for doing quite shocking, out there scenes, early deaths, unexpected things, which I think makes the show so fantastic.
In the very first episode of Wentworth, very first, season 1, episode 1, the original cast weren't even given this scene. There is this glorious actress called Catherine McClements, who I've worked with many times, and she's very well known here in Australia, and she was on the poster, and she's the governor of the prison. And very end of the very first episode, we offed Catherine McClements. I was beside myself, but I thought, well, that is a litmus test for the rest of this show. If that's what they're going to do in the first episode, where do we go from here?
I mean, I feel like every single scene on this show is shocking in some way. Like, it just gets more and more shocking. But, I mean, there's the classics, there's the bee death, which is, like, shook me to my core.
I mean, iconic. And 5 seasons later, people are still talking about it. People are still not over it, and people are still convinced that she's somehow still alive. She made it.
Another one where I went, oh, where I cringed myself. Oh, well, not so much a death, but Kate Box's character, Lou Kelly, losing her finger. I think it was the bone crunch of the sound effects that really pushed it to another element, for another realm for me.
I think when Pamelarabe cuts out the tongue of Juicy Lucy is, like, shocking.
Go on. Are you kidding me? No, this? Oh, okay, right, okay, and here we go.
When the freak, beautiful Pamelarabe, gets buried alive and she is in the coffin and turns on her lighter, to me, that is just an incredible piece of Australian television.
season was great to watch because nobody, not even the fans, knew who was going to bury. You know, at that end of season 5, I think it was end of season 5, no one knew. No one knew until the end when they showed who it was, and no one had any idea at all that was going to be Will. So that was a great twist.
The death that does sort of stand out, and I even knew it was coming because I was acting in it. But I was watching the program, was Tammy, who plays Kaz. And even though I knew it was coming, I still sort of went,
I thought it was done really well where she was walking along the corridor and
those kind of extraordinary highs and the kind of precipice that the story, the narrative takes you on that keeps setting you up for more and more extraordinary drama. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat because while you're screaming at your TV, you can't look away.
I mean, the siege was just incredible. It was, I just think the way that unfolded and the way both director and all the cast realised that incredible two-part siege storyline was fantastic.
I am about to escape. Mari finally is kind of about to be free, and then I spot Ruby. I demand the gun back. I come round the corner to shoot her.
And an example of the willingness to explore themes few shows are brave enough to tackle. Since the very beginning, Wentworth has prided itself on telling diverse stories with diverse characters, creating a depth to the narrative that's rewarding not only for audiences, but for everyone involved in its making.
Speaking as a female actor in this company, just the material that they keep giving you is so rich and so rewarding to play, and you really can't, there really is not a program on air at the moment worldwide, I don't think, that gives strong female characters that platform.
You know, I've spent most of my 40s playing Verabennet, and there was a time when, once you hit your 40s as a woman, you know, you got to play people's mums a little bit, if you were lucky.
It proves that a show that is heralded by women, written by women, produced by women, you know, directed largely by women, written largely by women, and to have a show like that with such a huge female contingent be so successful and so successful worldwide and universally. So to me, it's been incredibly humbling to be a part of a female-driven show that is kicking butt.
And Wentworth was breaking ground on this sort of issue long before it became topical. And I just think, you know, as an actor, a female actor, coming into a show like this and the storylines that we have, it's rewarding on many, many levels.
You know, it's a whole new ball game for women's roles, but also, you know, racial and sexual diversity and all of that kind of stuff is just kind of normalised here. We don't, you know, it's just part of the landscape of this show, and I think that's great.
Being the first Aboriginal woman to play a lesbian on Australian television, that has been groundbreaking and really incredible, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud to be, you know, representing my people in that way and representing my LGBTQIA mob, you know, and that's really important to be out there, you know, because representation matters, and having that on screen is awesome.
I think seeing trans characters in the media, on TV, in film, in theatre is, like, it genuinely saves lives. I think it's so essential. And I think For me, it's especially important that trans people tell trans stories or genderqueer people tell trans stories. I just think it makes you feel that much more seen when it's done properly and done honestly.
And I think with Foxtel, you can push the boundaries more than you can free to air. You can, and that is what I think makes for really interesting. Like, you think of all the stuff that's come out and the stuff that people love, it's because they haven't been afraid that they won't be able to sell a car or a tin of spaghetti in the ad break. A lot of people say drama's made just to sell shit. And personally, I think it's important to not be frightened because it stifles creativity.
It's sort of set the template for Foxtel then to be able to, you know, continue breaking boundaries with the drama that they create, their Australian drama, and telling Australian stories. So, you know, I think it will be looked back as being a real pivotal moment in Australian TV production and storytelling.
Wentworth began as a remake of the 1970s serial Prisoner, but it quickly earned its own place in TV history as a much-lauded drama series. But now the final season is here, bringing the series to a total of 100 episodes, filled with brutality, menace, joy, love, vengeance, friendship, loyalty, and sacrifice. Creating this conclusion has been no small feat, with the final few days on set highlighting to the cast and crew what a unique and unforgettable experience Wentworth has been for everyone concerned.
Well, to be shooting the final season of Wentworth is, I guess, bittersweet, really. It's going to be really sad to say goodbye to this place.
Look, I suppose all good things must come to an end. In saying that, I feel like I've only just joined the party on this one, and so I'm going to be a little bit kicking and screaming when it's time to shut it down.
It sort of only hit me the other day where I went, this is it. You know, Rita Connors is going to be put to bed. It's been massive.
I mean, I literally have been pushing it out of my consciousness in order just to concentrate on the work at hand, because God knows we've got a lot on our plate to kind of deliver extraordinary things that go down in this final season, and it's taking all the concentration to kind of just do our jobs as well as possible.
There is a lot of emotion going on set, and it's very mixed and very varied. I think we've got everything ranging from, you know, devastation and the grief of this incredible journey being over, but also coupled with intense excitement.
It's very emotional. One by one, everyone's sort of saying goodbye, and I just think, I haven't been here for 8 years, but I'm feeling it. So imagine how everyone else is feeling.
Kind of a bit sad. I've been here since day one. Didn't do much in the first series, but I opened a lot of doors very well, and there's always something going on in the eyes. But yeah, I think there are 4 of us, so Katrina,
an absolute gift, but I
We just filmed our very final scene in the dining room, this iconic space that I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. It was kind of bittersweet to say goodbye to this location. It's sort of, we all have a love-hate relationship with it because we're always in here for hours. It always takes so long to film in here. But it's certainly sweet for me because this was one of the first locations that I ever shot in way back in season 4. So it'll be sad to see it go. Bye, dining room.
I'm getting a bit teary now. No, it's going to be a very sad day on Friday when it's all over.
We're actually shooting the final scenes. These are the last scenes that you guys will see.
Yeah.
In the whole series.
In the whole world. Ever.
I'm filming my last scenes today. It's the last day of the whole shoot. I'm devastated. I'm really sad.
It's been magic to be here on the very last day of the shoot, so let's bring this one home. Bye.
For me, it's been almost 6 years of my life and just such an incredible pleasure to play a character that has gone through perhaps every emotional state that a human being can go through, and being able to join Allie on that ride, that wild roller coaster of a ride, has been a pleasure and a privilege and a challenge.
The experience of working on this show as an actor has been the single greatest professional experience of my career.
I mean, I've been an actor for 35 years, but this is one of the first times that I truly feel like this role has been a real gift for my career.
You've seen the cream of Australian acting talent come through the Wentworth doors. Some of them have left, some of them haven't. But to have the privilege of working with all those actors on brilliant scripts with an incredibly gifted, skilled and committed and nice crew has been such a joy. And I just don't want to think about what it's going to be like to say goodbye to that work family. But I've loved every minute of it.
I've learned so much about the industry as a whole. I've learned about television, what it takes to make a show like this. And considering the incredible actresses that I've been working with, I've learned a lot about my craft and who I want to be as an actor.
It's changed me as an actor. It's made me more confident about ideas, and it's given me a space to learn in front of a camera. Even though I'd worked prior, to do a show in this capacity, this sort of in a long-running nature these days is kind of unheard of at this intensity and with this kind of content, and that's an absolute gift. And I'm so grateful, and I've learnt something from everyone every single day, and I continue to.
It's certainly been a journey, you know. Being an Aboriginal woman in prison and representing that, my heart aches for my people and what's happening in Australia. And I'm just glad that I was able to represent that even just a little, even if it is just a little bit.
I'm going to miss playing such high stakes. I'm going to miss I'm going to miss doing the stunts. I'm going to miss the big emotional stuff. There's just nothing pedestrian about this gig, and you live in a really heightened state. It's all that stuff when you're a kid, it's that kind of big imagination stuff, and you get to play it out here. You get to kind of scream and shout and defend and fight for people you love, and you know, lay revenge on people you don't or people who've wronged you. It's really, it's big kid stuff, and I'm gonna miss that world, I think. Yeah, the world of big adventure. Wentworth's been that.
You hear people gab on all the time about how TV life is like a family.
for sharing with me this unique look at the incredible effort it takes to bring Wentworth to the screen, and the chance to remember some of the moments that have left such an indelible mark on audiences around the world. It has